Hi everyone, good day. In our last video, we started building a project which is a property staging and styling business. So we start with the lead capturing phase. So the lead capturing basically is to capture the data of the client, the agent, and also some other credentials. And they were able to show us the data in the monday.com CRM. So here we have the data. So when the user provide the data in the tally form, this is the credentials, the service type, the property address, listing URL, client email, the status, and we set the status to new, so to be aware that this particular lead is a new customer. So after that, and then so after that, that's for the lead capture. We send an internal quota build. So this quote build is to let the styling team to build. Let's say the team goes to the apartment to check the bedroom, to list the code of the bedroom, the items there, the add-ons, and some of the other things. So this code is basically is going to capture what is in the apartment and what are the things that is going to be the apartment. So that is for this second flow that we are going to be working on, which is the coating. And then this coating basically is, so here is the form. We have our quote build form. So this quote build form is actually, the link is added to the email that was sent to the styling team. So that's our way now. We also include the item ID of this particular lead. So in that case now, we are able to track that particular item or that particular job item ID, so that we are able to know that this specific item is what we are working on. So we don't want to lose track of the ID. So I included the ID in the URL. So once that styling team got the URL, the job item ID is going to be included in that URL that was sent to their email. So once they click on it, it's going to show. So their ID is hidden because you can make some particular field hidden in tally form. So I make the job ID item hidden so that we don't need to see it. So once we pass it, we are able to keep track of that ID and work on the automation workflow. So here is the workflow, the second workflow that we'll be talking about. So here the second workflow is quoting. So here the styling team has gotten the email and want to proceed to the apartment to fill in some form on what they are going to do. So here we have the details of what they are going to fill, to confirm, does this property have a stairs, and also how many rooms are included. So it's going to put how many rooms. So depending on the room that you put here, if you put 2, it's going to show just 2 room. If you put 3, it's going to show just 3. If you put 4, it's going to show just 4. So let's say here now I have 3 room. So let's say I change it to 2. So you can see now it removed the third one. So if I put it back to 3, now you will see we have room 3. So let me just remove that and do it as room 2. So we have just 2 rooms. So that means the styling team has gone to the apartment and they just see only 2 rooms, and these are the item and also the bespoke item. And also there are some add-ons. You might want to add some add-ons. So here is the add-on. So I decided to pick this. So now once they fill this form, now it trigger this tally trigger. So this tally trigger will pick it up and it's going to, now we are formatting that data, because the way the data is going to come, will not be so friendly. So we are going to format it in a more data structure way. So once we format the data, so here I'm going to prepare the PDF data. So here is more like preparing the PDF data so that you can be able to generate that particular. We are going to use that data to generate our quotes PDF. So once we do that, here is because I'm using a PDF generator API, so I'm creating a JWT token here. So for every run that's going to run, we are going to be generating a new token for that particular workflow that is running. So here we have our API key, we have our secrets, and we have our sub, which is more of like the workspace identifier email. So here for a better option, it is expected to use the environment config on n8n, so that way it's able to be dynamic and make your works more clean and smoother. So I just decided to put it here just to tell us, like, to explain like the what we are doing. So here we have our API key, we have our API secrets. So then after that we go to the generate PDF. So we are going to use the result that we got from the prepare PDF node. We are going to use it here to generate our PDF, and we are going to email that code to the client. So here we are emailing the code to the client. So here you can see email the code PDF to the client email. So we are sending that data to the client email. So once we do that, we want to ensure that we update the monday.com, which is this. We want to update this part here. We want to update the quotes total, and we want to also update the status. So we are going to update the status to quote sent. So after that, we are going to attach the quotes PDF. So here is more of like we want to update the particular item in monday.com. So because monday.com does not have the native node, so I'm using the API here. So I'm using the API to call the file. After that, I call the form data. I use the GraphQL mutation to add the file to the column. So once I do that, then we move to the other node, which is the create follow-up task. So here basically is to create a follow-up task in the monday.com. So we have it here. So basically is to let the company aware of the follow-up task they are going to follow up with the client to get some information. Probably they are interested in going forward about the codes that was sent to them or not. So after that, we have our set field. So this set field is so we generate an event, because this follow-up will be due for 24 hours to 48 hours. So that means within 24 hours and 48 hours, we are creating the follow-up, and we are generating an event for that 24 hours and also 48 hours. So after that, then we split that two events, which is the 24 hours and the 48 hours. Then we split it to have each of the events as a single item. So once we have that, then each of that event is going to be created inside the calendar. So just in a way to remind the company that there are some clients they are to follow up after 24 and also 48 hours. So that's how this flow is going to be. And so I'm going to run this to show you how that flow is going to be. So I'm going to unpin this. So once I unpin it now, all right, so we've unpinned the old data that was there before, and so I'm going to execute this workflow. So once I execute it, so let me take us back to the lead capturing, which is the first phase of this project. So once they fill in the form for the lead capture, we are going to send an email to the team, to the styling team. So once they get the email, so here is the button. So this button here, we are attaching the item ID. On monday.com, we have the board. These are the board, the lead. So inside this board here, we have it's board item. So this board item here now, we have a unique ID, which is the item ID. So this item ID is attached to the URL of this particular code form. So it's attached to this ID here. So it's attached here. So you will see the ID here. So that way we can be able to track the particular job item ID that we are working on. So once the styling team goes to the apartment of that particular client and fill in this particular code form, so they're going to submit it. So once they submit that, the client is going to get the code for that particular form. So I'm going to submit this and we see how it's going to run. So here our workflow has already started running. So I'm going to submit now. So once I submit, our workflow will continue running. So it picks up, it goes, create a follow-up task, and yeah, so we're able to run this successfully. So what is happening here is that once our form is filled, the tally trigger is executed, it format our structure, prepare the PDF. So here you can see it's generating the code PDF, and if we go to send it to the client, so I'm going to go to the client now. So let's go to the email. So I'm going to let's see. So I'm going to say, so here, so here you can see, so here is the code that was sent to the client after the styling team have filled the code form. So I'm going to download the code form here. So here you can see it give us the code that was sent to the client. So we have the bed, we have the class component, oversized, and it gives us the total amount. So once the client sees this, the next phase, which is the third phase, they are to either accept the code or decline the code. So before we do that, I'm going to explain that in our next video. So we can see inside our format data structure. So here you can see we're able to structure the data to have this. We have array of objects. We also have our subtotal, and inside here we're able to update the status of that item to code sent. So if you go to our monday.com, so here you can see shows that we've updated the data, which is code sent. That means the code has been sent to the client. We update the total. We also have our PDF that was generated, and we have the line items. Those are the items that was selected in the property that was viewed by the styling team. So we also update it here, and we created in the workflow, we created a 24 hours to 48 hours follow-up after that email has been sent. So the company is going to follow up with the client, so to ask either they are moving forward with the code or not. So that is why so here is our code follow-up. So here we have our code follow-up, and shows pending, and so that is for this. So here we are going to put a check so that it disrupts it from creating a duplicate. So that is for this for the code follow-up, and I hope we understand this second workflow, and if you have any question, you can drop it in the comments, and yeah, thank you very much, and bye.